Hello and welcome along to Mondo Celovec Movies. My name is John and today I'm going to talk to you about the year that was 2020. Well, that was a year that we can hopefully consign to history as being one of the worst years ever in living history, and I'm hoping that 2021 will see us coming out the other side of this horrendous tunnel. So that being said, the year that I want to review basically is my year on YouTube and also physical media and just my general thoughts on what happened in as far as buying physical media, which is a bit more of a light-hearted subject than you could talk about in most topics of 2020. I've wrote a bit of a list down here. I'm just going to go through it. It'll probably be broken up into a couple of parts because I imagine the list is that long that I think it would be too long for one video. So how many parts that'll be, probably 2 parts. So first of all, I just want to say thank you to everybody who's subscribed to this channel. I'm very close to 400 subscribers, which is really mind-blowing. I think when I started this channel in the 1st of June 2020, I didn't have an idea of what I perceived as having a subscriber count of whatever. I would imagine if I'd hit 100 by the end of the year, I would have been more than happy about that. But here I am in the start of 2021 about to get to 400, which is just mind-blowing. So also, yes, 26,000 plus views on my videos of my channel, which is another mind-blowing number, which you can't perceive when you first start your channel off. You can't think, well, this is going to get this, this is going to get that. I mean, whatever happens, happens. But I'm just so grateful and glad and appreciative of how this channel has went. It's went much better than any of my estimations could have got. And if anybody's thinking about doing a channel, I urge you just to do it. Try it. I know there's a few people on the edge thinking about it, but if you don't know, if you don't do it, you'll never know what it's all about. And I would imagine if you do it and you just make yourself known, you'll be welcomed in this community, which I was, and other people who have come after me have been. So it's a bit of a family on here, and we all look out for each other. And I would think that you would be welcomed in and just make yourself known, and you will start to grow. As everybody I have seen who've been committed to making a channel on here, their channels have just exploded because of the same thing that's happened to me. Shout outs, I got great shout outs of channels, which has helped my subscriber count go up much more, which has obviously made me available to more people, and it'll spread my videos to people who would have normally or never even known about my channel, which is absolutely mind-blowing, from across the world. So I can't say thank you enough to everybody who's subscribed, everybody who's given me a shout out, and everybody who's liked, everybody who's commented. I really appreciate that, and it's one of the best feelings you can have, to have something that you think in your own mind is a success. You'd start off with a very big trepidations to think, well, I'm getting into this, and will it be the most well, I personally have self-doubts. You think this is not going to work, I will not be able to do this. But it proves, if I think that if it's worked for me, and I've just basically got on here and just spoke words to the camera, this camera here, so there's nothing that can't stop anybody just giving it a whirl. And I've got a very small setup here which doesn't have any sort of costs, so it's very cheap as well. So if you've got an internet connection, you're good to go. Okay, so thank you one and all for that. I really, really appreciate it. So yeah, so let's get back to this list. On this list, I've recorded all the things that I've watched over the year of 2020, and I put some figures down here which might interest you about what I've been up to for the past year. And so I'm going to have to refer to this list a couple of times, so forgive me for looking away from the camera for a bit. So the amount of films that I watched in the year 2020 was 216. Now, I like to have, I do look at numbers sometimes and think of numbers that are like significant to me. Now, weirdly enough, 216 was a number of a house that I used to live at further down the road in Whitley Bay. That was number 216. So I do like the fact that this has ended on a significant number to me. And also when I went to work yesterday, the code to get into my phone here, the number that was set in my mileometer was actually the number for my locking code on my phone, which I thought was quite spooky. But anyway, let's get back to this list. So the first thing on my list was how many films I've watched. It was 216. How many bits of physical media did I buy in 2020? And the answer to that is 191. Now, what I do is I classes the Friday the 13th box set, for instance. I class that as one bit of physical media because that's one item. So if you were thinking about movies, it might be a lot more than that. But the amount of actual pieces of physical media was 191. The best film that I saw in the cinema was The Rise of Skywalker, Star Wars. How did I pick this film? Because in truth, it's the only film I've ever been to the cinema to see in 2020. Now, what was the best gig that I saw in 2020? That's an easy one as well, because I only saw one gig. And the gig I went to see was the tour, John Shuttleworth's Back tour from John Shuttleworth. Now, John Shuttleworth is really Graham Fellows, who's a comedian, who also had a hit in 1978 with Jilted John. Now, people might know what Jilted John is. It's the song that has the sort of chorus, Gordon is a moron. So that was a sideline of his to do this sort of daft comedy punk record. And I bought this DVD, which is a show that it's like a film that he made. It's nice up north. And also bought that postcard of John doing his hoovering in his front room. It was absolutely amazing. Me and my wife loved it, although she didn't really want to go and see it, but I talked her into it and she come away and she said that was absolutely brilliant. So it's a shame. We had a lot more planned, but it just didn't happen because we like to go to quite a lot of gigs every year. We just didn't get there. So that's my favourite gig of 2020. Hopefully 2021, that'll change. Next is my favourite Steelbook of 2020. That's a really easy one to answer because if anybody knows me, I don't really collect Steelbooks. So I only bought one Steelbook. And the one that I bought was, my wife was in HMV with me and she said, hey, there's a cheap, weird looking Blu-ray in the bargain bin. So I said, well, what's that then? So she brought it over for £2.49 was this, and I thought, what is it? It is a film called The Mermaid, and it does say on the back, China's biggest movie of all time. And in 2017 it did become the biggest film in China grossing, and for £2.49 I couldn't pass it up. But it's a good film and it's a solid film as well. So that's my favourite steel. It is a nice Steelbook, mine. It's got some lovely sort of colours on it when you can shine it in the light properly, if I can get the light catching it. But I do rate this film being a really good film. If you can't see it, you don't have to pay too much, I don't think, because it'll probably be online quite cheap. It's a really surprising film, very well made. Great special effects as well, as Kung Fu Hustle has as well, and also his other film, Shaolin Soccer. That's a brilliant one as well. So my most watched film of 2020, the film that I watched more than anyone else, more times than anyone else. Can anybody guess? I bet you know what I'm going to pick out here. Of course, it is The Elephant Man. Now, I watched this 3 times. I was going to watch it at the end of December, but I didn't get a chance to watch it. It was a bit of a busy month for me. So I'm going to there's definitely going to get watched again in January. I don't tire of this film ever. I can watch this film, well, a lot of times. It's got that much going for it, and there's that much that I've got from nostalgia purposes and just the whole thing of it. It's just it is one of my favourite films, but it's a film that I felt, even though I bought Jaws, which is a bit more of a favourite film of mine, I only watched Jaws once, and I watched this 3 times, although I will plan to watch Jaws a couple of times this year. I will do a proper unboxing of this Blu-ray because people are asking about it, so that'll be coming up. So yes, this is my most watched film of 2020. Next is one which is the one that I bought and sold the quickest. I haven't bought many this year that I've sold, but this is definitely one. This might surprise viewers. That the one that I got, I was interested in watching it. I bought it. I watched the director's cut of it, and I thought, good film, but I don't think I would ever really want to watch it again. And that is Midsummer. Now, like I said, I'm not taking anything away from the film. It is a good film. It is a good watch, but I can't think that I would watch it over and over again. And I thought, well, why do I need to keep, my way of thinking now is, why do I need to keep a film that I'm not really going to watch? These films are all, I feel, the ones I've seen are ones I want to keep in the collection. This was one that I enjoyed watching. I probably would have been better off watching it on Sky Movies. I think I was trying to watch it on Sky Movies and it just wasn't anywhere. Of course, when I bought it, it popped up on Sky Movies, didn't it? Or Amazon Prime. But anyway, so that's the one that I've got and sold the quickest in 2020. That's a bit of a strange category. Now the next one is, what is the film that's been the most of an upgrade for me? Now I have had this film and many films like it on 5th generation bootleg copies, which you can barely hardly see, and it does make the film appear to be a little bit trashy, but when you get these films in pristine conditions, it makes them elevate them to the level that they should have been, and you can be more appreciative of this movie, and you can understand how much of a good movie it is. So the biggest upgrade that I received this year on a film will be the 4K version of Zombie, or in the UK, Zombie Flesh Eaters. I've done an unboxing and a review of this film, so I'll link that down below. And I've got to say that it's just absolutely brilliant. I just like everything about what Blue Underground have done with this, and they've just presented something which is just a phenomenal 4K version of a film that's previously, you could say, was a bit like a bit of a trash release, but obviously it's not. I've never really classed it as that, but you can see this movie in a different light. If you went from 5th generation bootleg copy to this, it's just night and day. So thanks for watching this part. In part 2, there will be more talk about what's coming up on the channel in the future in 2021. Also, there will be something talked about my New Year's resolutions, and also it'll be a thing to do with some videos that I've got planned, and also I will put in there the first time watched, the videos that I watched, the films that I watched last year, which were first time watches, and I've ranked them in the best. I think there's 12 there, so it'll be the best 12 of my first time watches, and I've got some great films in there which I had a really good time with. And so thanks very much for watching, and thanks very much for participating in this channel. Thanks very much for subscribing, and also commenting, liking, and just being generally a great audience for this channel. Without this audience and the subscribers and this input, there will be no channel. This channel would have failed miserably. And I would hope that this channel will just entertain you when you come along and visit this channel. So thanks very much for watching. You take care, and I will see you in part 2. Cheers.